Ever found yourself giving more weight to recent events over the ones in the distant past? That's a classic example of recency bias. This psychological tendency compels our minds to prioritize the latest information, often ignoring older but equally important data. Have you ever been influenced by the latest news headline, only to later realize it was just a small part of a wider story? That's recency bias in action. It doesn't devalue older information, but rather our brains are wired to prioritize the new and fresh. Let's illustrate this with an example. Suppose you've been investing in a company's stocks that have been steady. However, recent poor performance has you considering selling. This is recency bias. You're focusing on the recent downturn, neglecting the stock's long-term stability. Consider a student who's performed well throughout the year, but bombed the last test. A teacher-influenced recency bias might anticipate poor finals performance, disregarding the student's overall academic record. Recency bias also affects personal relationships. A recent disagreement with a longtime friend can overshadow years of support, making you question your bond based on one event. A tricky bias, subtly influencing our thoughts often without us realizing. The solution lies in stepping back and analyzing the bigger picture. Remember to consider all relevant data, old and new. So the next time you find yourself swayed by the most recent event, pause. Reflect on whether you're giving undue importance to the recent past. Remember, while recent events may feel more important, it's crucial to consider the bigger picture to avoid this mind trap. Scene script. Next up, we're diving into the neglect of probability, a conceptual bias that often clouds our judgment in favor of what we perceive as intuitive knowledge. To illustrate this, consider a carnival scenario. You're drawn towards a dart game, tempted by its flashy lights and the thrill of hitting the bullseye. But there's also a coin toss game. The dart game seems more exciting, yet the numbers reveal that your chances of winning the coin toss are significantly higher. This bias compels us to favor intuition over hard numbers. Think about the lottery. The odds of winning are extremely low, yet millions participate every week, neglecting the high improbability. Or consider health choices, where some individuals choose not to get vaccinated despite the high probability of protection, preferring to rely on instincts or misconceptions. We're not naturally wired to think in terms of statistics. We lean towards our instincts, emotions, personal experiences. This can lead us astray, especially when the stakes are high. Awareness and comprehension of this bias can guide us towards more informed decisions. It's about striking a balance between our intuition and respect for probability. Probability isn't a guaranteed predictor, but it helps us make informed decisions and manage our expectations better. Neglect of probability can misguide us, but understanding it can help us make decisions influenced not just by gut feelings, but by a realistic understanding of the odds. Balancing probability with gut feelings might be challenging, but it's a necessary skill to avoid falling into this mind trap. Now, on to the curse of knowledge, a cognitive bias that is a widespread phenomenon. This psychological concept arises when we assume others possess the same knowledge as us, leading to communication issues. It affects all areas of our lives, from professional settings to everyday interactions. Have you ever found it hard to teach a child how to tie their shoes, or explain a smartphone to a technophobe? This is the curse of knowledge. We instinctively assume they understand the basics that we've known for years, leading to misunderstandings and frustration. This cognitive bias can unintentionally make us seem condescending and hinder effective communication. However, recognizing this bias can help us adjust our communication. We can break down our knowledge into simpler, more digestible parts, ensuring our message is understood. Strategies to overcome this bias include asking questions to gauge comprehension, using simple analogies to bridge knowledge gaps, and avoiding jargon. For instance, if a quantum physicist were aware of this bias, they might use simpler language and analogies to communicate their complex work effectively. In conclusion, the curse of knowledge serves as a reminder of the diverse range of our experiences and acquired knowledge. It emphasizes empathy and the importance of understanding the listener's perspective. By being mindful of the curse of knowledge, we can aim to evolve into improved communicators, educators, and listeners. And isn't that a goal worth working towards? Now, let's delve into the intricacies of the self-serving bias, a unique psychological phenomenon. Picture this. You've aced a difficult test. More often than not, you'll credit your success to hard work or a natural aptitude for the subject. However, if you do poorly, blame is to factors beyond your control. This is self-serving bias, attributing positive outcomes to ourselves and negative ones due to external influences. While this bias can preserve self-esteem, it can distort our self-perception and hinder learning from past mistakes. Consider another scenario. You're part of a successful project, and you attribute its success to your leadership. If it fails, however, you blame the team, or other external such occurrences reflect a common pattern, associating success with personal merit and failure with external factors. But how can we avoid this cognitive bias? It requires self-awareness and introspection. Recognize the role of external influences in your success and on your own actions in situations of failure. Balancing this viewpoint helps to identify both strengths and weaknesses effectively. Understanding that success or failure isn't solely dependent on one person or factor is crucial. So, enjoy your victories, but acknowledge the circumstances that contributed. And when plans fail, seek lessons rather than external blame. After all, the first step towards substantial growth and improvement is recognizing that there's room for enhancement. Have you ever found yourself in situations where you believe everyone is in agreement with your thoughts and views? This is known as the false consensus effect, a cognitive bias that skews our perception of reality. It leads us to overestimate the extent to which others share our opinions and shapes our understanding of the world, often inaccurately. Take this example. You love coffee and assume most people feel the same, but in reality, many might prefer tea or juice. This bias isn't limited to trivial matters. It extends to our political ideologies, moral compass, and social norms. For instance, someone strongly believing in environmental conservation might assume everyone else shares their commitment. Why does this? Our beliefs and opinions are influenced by various factors such as our experiences, culture, and social interactions. Engaging with like-minded individuals can reinforce our beliefs, leading us to think they're more widespread than they actually are. But this effect can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. When we believe everyone agrees with us, contrary views can shock us, causing communication breakdowns and complacency. How to tackle recognize its existence, understand our beliefs are unique, and encourage diversity in interactions. It's okay to disagree. Differences in opinion fuel diversity and create interesting discussions. Empathy is key in understanding differing views, fostering healthy conversations, mutual respect, and decisions. To sum up, the false consensus effect is a cognitive trap distorting our reality. By being aware of it and seeking varied perspectives, we can nurture better understanding and make more well-informed decisions. Always bear in mind, our beliefs are unique to us, and assuming everyone shares them is a trap we should strive to avoid. Finally, we're discussing the placebo effect, a phenomenon where belief alone can cause a perceived improvement. The placebo effect is a psychological occurrence where an individual's faith in a treatment shapes their perception of its benefits. In simple words, it's a mind game. Our cognition convinces us that a fake treatment, like a sugar pill, is authentic and making us feel healthier. Our brains are not just cognitive engines, but also powerful factories of chemicals. When we believe we're being treated, our brain can concoct chemicals that emulate the impacts of the medicine, potentially reducing symptoms or even eliminating the disease. One study split patients slated for knee surgery into two groups. One had the actual surgery, the other was made to believe they had surgery. Surprisingly, both reported similar levels of pain relief. In another study, patients with depression were given a placebo pill, informed it was a potent antidepressant. Many reported a decrease in their depressive symptoms, despite the pill having no active ingredients. These examples underscore the power of our convictions. Our cognitive processes can affect our physical state. The placebo effect leads us to observe health improvements, the absence of medical intervention. Yet it's vital to note, the placebo effect is not a cure-all. It doesn't imply we can wish ourselves to recover from severe illnesses, but it does highlight the significant role our mentality has in our well-being. So, the next time you're popping a pill or visiting a doctor, remember the power of the placebo effect and the incredible influence of your own mind. We've journeyed through 6 common mind traps today, from the recency bias to the placebo effect. We started with the recency bias, a phenomenon where we assign more importance to recent experiences. Then we explored the neglect of probability, where we often ignore statistics. Our journey continued to the curse of knowledge, attributing to communication gaps as we assume others understand what we know. We investigated the self-serving bias, our tendency to attribute successes to ourselves and failures to external factors. The false consensus effect was next, where we often overestimate the extent to which others share our beliefs. Lastly, we looked at the placebo effect, showing our mind's powerful influence on reality. These mental pitfalls influence our perceptions and decisions, but are a part of the human condition, reminders of our mind's complexity. Our brains, while they can lead us astray, are capable of magnificent things. With understanding of these mind traps, we can navigate with more awareness. So continue to question, learn, and explore your mind. Remember, the first step to avoiding these mind traps is awareness. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep expanding your mind.